Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the third doorbell from Ubiquiti and the one that comes in at the best price point. That is the Doorbell Lite. The Doorbell Lite we could either get in black or we could get in white, and it comes in at $99 USD. The Doorbell Lite is powered up by PoE, it is 2K, and it has a physical doorbell button. So let's go ahead and let's get it unboxed and then installed. And this is the box for the Doorbell Lite. The one that was sent to me by Ubiquiti, and I want to thank them for it, was the white doorbell. So if we look around the back, we're going to have this pull tab, or on the bottom, we'll have this pull tab, and we just pull that off to open it up. Opening up the box, we're probably not going to have too much in here, but you could see the doorbell right away, which is a little bit bigger than I was expecting. I will put the dimensions somewhere on screen so that you can see how big it actually is, and we will compare it to a G4 Doorbell Pro. Underneath of the doorbell, we have this mounting template. I already have the G4 Doorbell Pro installed, and I'm hoping that the holes line up with this mount. On the left-hand side, we have the screwdriver, which will be for a set screw, so it is a little bit more secure. If you're gonna have your doorbell on a flat wall, this is the mount that you'll use, and this is the one that I'll be using. It also comes with an angled wedge mount if you need it to get a better angle. Under that, we just have a couple screws and anchors, as well as our set screw. On the top of the doorbell, we have our camera, which is a 2K 1.275 megapixel image sensor. We also do have a microphone under here, so I'm going to peel this off. Now on the side, we do have our microphone, and this could also do night vision. So we have 5 meters or 16 feet of night vision. This doorbell button feels really great to push. It's not cheap. It feels like it was very well made, and I do love the clicking sound that it makes. You guys won't be able to hear that though. On the back of the doorbell, we have this grommet, and you're going to want to make sure you have that on there for our weatherproofing. If we pop the grommet out, you're going to see the PoE Ethernet RJ45 port, and then inside under the grommet we'll also have a reset button. On the bottom of the doorbell, we have the speaker, and we have an LED light for visibility. The next thing I need to do, I need to get my Doorbell Pro taken off. I will show you the size comparison between the two, and then we'll need to get this one installed. Before installing the Doorbell Lite, I had to take off the G4 Doorbell Pro, and all I did was grab a screwdriver that had a flat end, and then I popped it into the doorbell, and it came right off. Now, I already had Ethernet cable to the doorbell, so it made my installation a lot easier, and most people, they may not. They may have traditional 2-pair cabling. So the biggest thing with this is going to be getting Ethernet to your door. My G4 Doorbell Pro is down from my house. We could do a side-by-side comparison, and you could see that the Doorbell Pro is longer, and it's also quite a bit wider. Pulling it over to the side, we could see on the bottom of the Doorbell Pro, we have this extruding where it's going to have our power over Ethernet. So you would have to make quite a big hole in your wall or inside your brick. If you didn't want to make a hole that big inside of your wall, you could have always got one of these back boxes, put it onto your doorbell, but then that is making it a lot wider as compared to the Doorbell Lite. Nice design feature with the Doorbell Lite, it actually is carved into the doorbell and it's not extruding, it's going down. So you could just make the hole as big as your Ethernet cable and then run it inside of your doorbell. Now we need to go ahead and get this installed on the front of my house. With the bracket for the Doorbell Lite, it does have a little bit of playroom, so I didn't need to change any of the screw holes, and I didn't need to drill any more holes. It worked perfectly fine for me. Once the bracket was leveled, we needed to get the doorbell, and we put the top on first, press it down towards the bottom, and then we're going to want to tighten in that set screw. With the Doorbell Lite now installed on the front of my house, we need to go into the UniFi Protect application, and we can see it's ready to be adopted, so we're going to click to adopt. After it's done adopting, we want to make sure that it's on the right firmware or the most up-to-date firmware. So we're going to click to update, and this is going to move us from 5.1 to 20 to 5.1.97. The Doorbell Lite has finished doing its update, so now we could take a look at it. This is the image quality that we're going to get from the Doorbell Lite, and the field of view is a little bit less. We will look at a side-by-side from the Doorbell Lite and the G4 Doorbell Pro, but I think this image looks pretty good. We see at the bottom we have high quality, and then we have it muted for our sound currently. We could also click, and this would go into our full screen mode, and then you could zoom in if you'd like. You could also go up here and we could add a shortcut, take a snapshot, and then we could look at the settings. This doorbell does have two-way audio, so if somebody was at our door, we would get a notification on our phone, or if we're sitting on our computer with a microphone, we would be able to talk back to them. Looking at the overview, we have our typical stuff. So we have our status, connection, model, device firmware, last motion, MAC address, IP address, frames per second, which it does 24 frames per second, and we have our bit rate, we have our uptime, and then we have the last ring, which was never so far. You could also set up different alarms for this doorbell. The only alarm that I'm really going to have is when somebody presses my doorbell, it will go out to my phone. Going over to our recording settings, we have our recording option. So we could have it record always, and we could have it continuous or event only, or we could have it adaptive. For my place, I always have it at 24/7 continuous recording. And then we have our different AI events. For this camera, we could do animal, person, and vehicle, and we could also do different audio detections. Here we only have the baby, we have the CO alarm, smoke alarm, and then we have speaking. You can customize the seconds added before AI detections as well as after, and we could create new motion events. Scrolling down even lower, we have our recording quality. So we could set our frames per second. If you don't want it on auto, you could have it at custom, but we could only go up to that 24 frames per second. And we have our different video compression, encoding, and then we have our resolution. Then we have our overlay information, and we have our time, camera name, logo, and bitrate, and we could specify which corner it goes in. I usually just put the time on for this. Then we have our zones and lines. So we have motion zones, we have smart zones, we have crossing line, and then we have privacy blackout. I leave mine on the default because I want to see it all. But say you don't really care, you want to go and edit the default one. We could click on edit, and then we could select what we want this smart zone to go to. So say we really just want it to go to the front of our house and or our front step. We don't need to capture any of the driveway. We could just have it come right up to these patio stones, and then you could configure it however you want. You also could create other zones as well. So you could do the default, then you could create another one on top of that. Under our settings, we have the general, so we could give it a camera name. We could open a preview, which will show us what the camera is doing, and microphone sensitivity. I'll be leaving mine up to 100%. If you live in a state or province that you can't record or do microphones, you could disable that, and then we could also do noise reduction. They also have different settings, so we have our HDR, we have our night vision, and then we have a status sound. I'm going to leave the status sound off. Then we have our advanced settings. I'm not going to talk all about this, but I'm just leaving mine on default for the purpose of this video. For ringtones, we have the default, we have express line, we have sun drop, then we have traditional. You can see this one down below. This is a custom one that I uploaded quite a while ago. I'm going to leave mine on default, but you can play the tone so you could hear how it goes. Now we also have our ring volume and how many times that ring repeats. So by default, it's only on 1, but I'm going to change mine to 3, and we're going to apply those changes. Since I already had a G4 Doorbell Pro, I had a PoE chime installed. So we need to pair that chime. So when somebody does hit my doorbell, I actually hear it go off. So we're going to click add, and we're going to click on the front door, and we're going to save that to it. Just like the doorbell tone, we need to select a tone for our paired chimes. I just put mine on default, and again, I'm going to have it go to 3, and we're going to apply those changes. I have 2 images on my screen right now. One is from the G4 Doorbell Pro, and one is from the Doorbell Lite. We'd tell right away with the G4 Doorbell Pro, we have a lot bigger width. There is a lot more houses in focus, whereas on the G4 Doorbell Lite, there's only a couple. The vertical, though, for the Doorbell Lite is a lot bigger. So we could see more of my roof, and we could also see more of the concrete. Both images side by side, they look pretty good. One was taken at about 2 p.m. and one was at 4, so it did dim the light a little bit. The one thing with the G4 Doorbell Pro, it does have that package detection, so you will be covering this bottom area where you could see my rugs. Now time to do the audio test. You should be able to hear me somewhat clearly, I hope. I may have to turn the sound up a little bit so you can hear me through the computer, but it should be sounding pretty good. Going up to the Doorbell Lite, it is still light outside, so we won't see the illumination from below, but if we click on the button, it's going to ring and you're going to be able to hear it, and the light will go on. So you could see the light going on, and you could hear the chime in the background, which we set to do 3 chimes. The last thing for us to do is to wait till nighttime and test out the night vision on the Doorbell Lite to see how good it is. So we'll be back in a few hours. It is now as dark as it possibly can be on my street. It gets pretty dark early here, and my street is pretty light. But let's take a look at me coming up to my doorbell. So you're going to see me walking, and you could tell who it is. It's not really that grainy, and we could see that it knows that it's a person 90% of the time. I am going to step back here, and then I'm going to walk on the street to see how clearly it will pick myself up. Here you can see me walking by, and it's not a bad image from afar, but this isn't going to give you the longest distance infrared that's for sure. The doorbell during nighttime, when you walk up to it or it notices motion, it's going to automatically turn on that LED on the bottom of it. And that's going to be my initial video on the Doorbell Lite, and I will do one down the road when I've used it a little longer and to see how it holds up to the Canadian winters. A couple positives for this doorbell for me is the quality of the video and the quality of the microphone. I wasn't expecting the mic to be that good. Also, the price point of $99 is going to bring a lot of people into the Ubiquiti ecosystem, especially for their doorbells. I really do like the physical button right on the doorbell and the clicking sound that it makes when you press it. Now, a couple of the downsides is the smaller horizontal field of view. So if you need a bigger horizontal field of view, you'll have to get the G4 Doorbell Pro or wait for the G6 doorbells to arrive. And we also have no package detection, which may be a deal breaker for you. One thing I would like to see added is a Wi-Fi variation of this doorbell. I know a lot of people don't have Ethernet at their door, and they just have your traditional 2-wire where you use a transformer. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below about the Doorbell Lite. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.